Hello, my name is Kevin Howard, and I'm the host of Breadcrumbs, a podcast for people who know it's not working. Welcome to episode 43, where I want to address a topic that our culture encourages us to ignore: death. Yeah, I had a whole structured analysis that I wanted to engage in. But when I first recorded it, it just didn't make sense. And why? Too esoteric. So I decided to re record it and just have an off the cuff conversation with you this week about this subject that we don't talk about. And yet it impacts our lives so significantly. It impacts our lives every time we lose a loved one, every time we lose a friend, a colleague, someone who had an impact in our lives, maybe a leader, maybe a mentor. The fact that we don't deal with it, the fact that we treat it like something that we would like to avoid, but it catches up with all of us, only makes it worse. And on top of making it worse, it actually diminishes our understanding of what life is. So let's talk about it. To understand what death is beyond an ending, beyond the loss of physical contact, we have to get into what life is. So follow me down this journey for a moment. And let's just use our shared experience, our shared humanity as the basis of this conversation. What is this life that we experience? Well, our experience has shown us that how we experience life, first and foremost, is through these bodies, our five senses. Yeah, our sight, our hearing, our taste, all those five senses, our touch, yeah, our smell. These allow us to experience whatever we're going through. But beyond the physical aspects of life, there is how we feel about it, the emotional aspects, the whole gamut of emotions that we go through. Then layered on top of that is whatever our belief system is. What is this all about? Is this just randomness? And all of that, the physical, the emotional, the mental or spiritual, all of that is contained in our consciousness. Yeah. This area of perception where we interpret what we're going through. We interpret who we are. We interpret what the world needs. So this is how we experience life. And then as we go along, we get confronted with death, the subject that's hidden away, that we only deal with it when we must. And yet these two things are very connected. How? Beyond the ending aspect, the life that we experience is based on the fact that we possess these bodies. And we got these bodies through a natural process that we're all familiar with. Our parents had sex. They invested energy that created a fertilized egg. And once that sperm cell and that egg cell came together, it set off an energetic chain reaction that produced us and is still producing us. And over the course of our lives, through that physical, emotional, spiritual, mental consciousness, we absorb energy with these bodies through the air we breathe, the sunshine hitting our skin, the water we drink, the food we eat. All of that is energy or stuff that our bodies convert to energy. And then through our choice, our conscious choice, we redirect that energy to do the things that we do that create the experiences that we have in our lives. And then when these bodies can no longer function, that energy leaves our bodies at death. So what amongst that is us? Because it is that us, that what we are, that determines what the life means and determines what the death means. In my view, I submit to you that we are the energy, that our consciousness is energy, and that energy does have a relationship with these bodies, and these bodies are important. But I submit that these bodies are the portal, the prism by which the energy that we absorb flows through. And when it comes out the other side, based on the choices we make, we co-create the lives that we live. That the relationship between us is not just these bodies. They're just the vehicle. The us is the energy that makes up our consciousness. And so, if we understand that, and we understand the thing we know about energy, is that energy never dies. Energy flows, it transfers, but it cannot be destroyed. And if that's us, if we're that conscious energy associated with these bodies, when these bodies die at death, what then happens to that consciousness? It doesn't die. It doesn't end. So let's see if we could, within the context of our experience, try to estimate what then happens. Because this is how we can come to grips with what death is. Yes, there is no knowing, there's no certainty, but there's no certainty in anything we do. But let's go down this path because, in my opinion, one of the biggest impediments to us fully understanding what our lives are and what we are is that we won't have that conversation. We don't deal with death. We don't come to a place of acceptance in the deepest sense of what it is. And that's why we're having this conversation this week. So back to this life that we live, this consciousness, this energy. When these bodies die, the energy that was used to experience everything we experienced still exists. And the proof of that is how we experience death of someone else. So we lose them physically. They're gone. But if we had an emotional and a spiritual connection, this is my friend. This is my spouse. Yeah. This is a human who meant something to me. Whatever the nature of that relationship was, whatever the experiences we had together and the emotions associated with it persistently, even after they're gone. One of the most impactful deaths in my life was the death of my mother-in-law, Chris. And I can tell you, and you look into any death that you experienced in your life and see if you resonate with what I'm saying. Most of my experience with Chris was not physical. Most of my experience with Chris was deeply emotional and the mental, spiritual aspect, the fact that she's my mother-in-law, the fact that she has this unique relationship with the woman that I'm building my life with. That was where the depth and the richness of the relationship came. That even made the physical aspects of our relationship even more impactful. The value of a hug. Yeah. The value of a kiss on the cheek. These experiences deepened greatly because of the love that we actually shared. And so when she passed away, when her physical body went away, I can completely make my day a great day by simply recalling the amazing experiences I had with her. In the same way, I can crush my day. I can make my day deeply sad and tragic by focusing in on the fact that I won't hug her again. Why that's significant is because the non-physical aspects of our relationship, the emotional and the spiritual aspects, the idea that they invoke the same intense emotions today as they did when we experienced them together, suggests that they still exist. And what I'm saying to you is why we can recall them with such impact is because they are attached, those experiences are attached to the energy we used to embrace each other, to cook together, to tell jokes. All those experiences, we both exerted energy and they invoked emotions. And those emotions and those experiences were imprinted on that energy. And now that she's gone, all I have to do is bring that memory back. I think the mechanism that memory is coming back is the fact that the energy that empowered the experience still exists. And the implications of that is this. If we are energy, if we are the consciousness, we are the thinker, we are the one who chooses, not the body. The body simply does what we make it do, what we tell it to do. If we are the energy, and we know that energy never dies. I mean, this is just the law of thermodynamics. Energy cannot be destroyed. So if energy is forever, and we can recall an experience we had, and it is as vivid as the day we experienced it, I think that's because the energy involved in the experience, we're able to call it back. And because it had the emotions involved, that allows us to experience it again. This is how we actually experience life forever. And so life is merely this period of time that our bodies can absorb energy and we can then redirect it to co-create new experiences. And then that period passes where this body is not capable of doing that anymore. And what we know about the body when it dies is it literally releases energy. The whole decomposition process of the body is the body degrading from this matter to its natural form, which is energy. Yes, Einstein's theory of relativity, E equals mc squared. I know I'm going a little deep, but follow me. Energy equals matter times the speed of light, which means that matter equals energy divided by the speed of light. So what that is conceptually, mathematically, is saying that matter, our bodies, the inanimate objects and the animate objects of existence, is all energy slowed way down, but it's still energy. And I think what life is the period of time that energy can be maintained in that slowed down space. And that's the finite aspect. Because when these bodies die, they lose the capacity to absorb energy and redirect it. And how they decompose is the matter loses the pressure that the body keeps the energy at that slow speed. And as the body decomposes and that pressure reduces, the energy returns to its natural state and it flows away until the body becomes bones and the bones become dust. Yeah. So we're all just energy, which is why I believe that the experiences we have while we have these bodies never go away, that they are imprinted. The power of being able to have this form of energy is that we can capture experience, smell, sight, hearing, taste, all those things. We can capture the experience of reality and code it onto energy and then experience that again anytime we call that energy back in. And so, why does this make a difference in terms of how we see death? Well, if we can appreciate the fact that it's not an ending, that all death is the end of the period of time that these bodies can maintain the denser pressure system. As soon as that stops, the bodies decompose, the energy is released, but none of the experience captured goes away. And this is what memory is: the capacity to take something that has already happened and vividly experience it again. But it's even beyond that, because you connect with someone you love. You could imagine an experience that you have not experienced with them, something that you're going through after they're already gone. And yet you know, how would they respond in this situation? What would they say? How would they feel? What would they do? Yeah, that's them still. And how you know that is simply based on what you experience with them and the fact that those experiences persist. And so the takeaway about death and how it changes how we can think about life is that it's not an ending. It's just an ending of the physical form, but not the emotional and spiritual. And that is the part of us that endures. And so as we go through this life, as we focus on the preciousness of the physical aspects of this life, because that's how we absorb experience, it is important that we take what opportunities we can to connect emotionally and spiritually with each other. Because in the absence of a deep emotional or spiritual connection, death does become final, complete loss. And so understanding that it benefits us to not lose each other that way, we can ask ourselves, well, is it possible for us to care more, to love more than we do right now? I submit to you, absolutely. In fact, I will go so far as to say that there's no limit to how much we can love. But the thing about love is you can't fake the funk. So there has to be an authenticity about love. We have to have authentic reasons for why we love. Now, most of us love our parents because they gave us life, because they raised us. Now, yes, there's abuse and all types of stories that alter that relationship. But for most of us, we love our parents because they did that for us. It's important to acknowledge, as a part of understanding what this life is, that our parents are not the only ones who gave us life. Our parents can't give us life, can't pass the genetic patterns on to us if we don't have air to breathe, if the sun stops shining, if the atmospheric pressure of this planet changes, then life as we understand it, as we are, does not exist. We can't live if people don't produce the food that we eat every day, if people don't make the water available every day, if people don't provide the shelter that we need every day. So many things that we need that we are unable to produce for ourselves are produced by people, most of which we will never know, and by things, none of which we can actually control. So what I would submit to you is an authentic way to deepen your relationship in life is to care First and foremost, to notice how much we are given that allows us to do what we do, and to be grateful for that, to be appreciative of that. In fact, to find a way to love anyone and anything that supports how you exist every day. This is something I've started to practice, and I find it's hard because guess what? I enjoy being alive. And so if you enjoy being alive, if you're grateful for this opportunity, anyone who makes it worth living, anyone who supports it to be possible, what is the most natural response to that? The reason why we haven't felt this way is because we are in a culture that completely discourages that. We're in a culture that has trained us that we are separate from each other, that we're independent of each other, that the only things we deserve in this world are what we are able to earn by competing against each other. With that kind of value structure and construct, love becomes rare. And that's why it's normal to say things like, I will never love again, or what have you. But that's not true when you think about how we exist every day. So let me round this conversation back up. Death is an ending of the physical experience of this existence. And when we lose someone to death, we no longer can physically touch them. But every aspect of our relationship that's not physical, as long as we had a connection, is just as real as it was when we experienced it. The love does not go away. And the joy that we experience together does not go away. And the laughter and the sorrow, all of that does not go away. And so understanding how great that is, we deepen the richness of life by experiencing that with as many people as possible. Not the few, but as many people as possible. And it's hard to expand our sphere of love when we realize we don't survive without each other. Yeah. So death is not just an ending. Death is an opportunity, a reminder that the most important, the deepest aspects of life are eternal. And we can appreciate them while we're both alive, and we can appreciate them after each of us die, because the energy involved in creating those experiences is eternal. And in essence, that is who we are. And this is Breadcrumbs, a podcast for people who know it's not working. I want you to steep on this discussion on what death is and how it enriches the lives we can live. Losing my mother-in-law is what gave me the opportunity to totally reconsider what my culture as an American has taught me about death. And what I have shared today is the steep wisdom of what I've learned. And I hope it can benefit you. I hope you can see it in your own lived experiences, that it's relevant and that it resonates. You take care, and I'll see you next time in the conversation.